It's sad I almost agree with him nowadays. Obviously, I don't have any fucking answers. I can't even claim all the words in here as my own, as you can find every single letter, phrase, run-on sentence I've written in better form, wherever you want to look. I was so desperate in the beginning to give this novel at least some purpose, even if it was a philosophical one in infancy. Now I can't see why I cared. It doesn't matter to me D or R, capitalism, socialism, taxes, free markets. Dress your shit up with whatever words you like. I don't need to be convinced anymore of the utility of science or recognizing actions for what they are not of recognizing actions for what they are, not what we presume. Wisdom doesn't guarantee agreement, and it shouldn't need to, as that word should be actions on the value of cooperation. Compromise, and when failure occurs, no fear to change course. The other imaginary word, power. I get it. At the exhaustion of all other options, how can you ensure peace? So many of the arguments of the day feel stupid as fuck. Just pick an economic structure, motherfuckers. They will all function just fucking fine so long as a government holds the freedom of its citizens, all of them, at the highest priority. I have no fancy string board or thousands of pages of research. $200,000 a year on a 3-day work week is the price of basic freedom in this country. And not only do I think I'm understating that figure, I think if you find that amount shocking, you need to restart the book. Grr. I've been on one again. The monetary evaluation thrown in should have nothing to do with the American dream. Freedom needs to be defined by what can be touched, tasted, felt, and not the emotional one. The freedom to travel, the freedom to innovate, to study, to provide, to heal, to rest, the freedom to create, artistry, etc. and etc. All of it falls prey to worth. Nothing survives our desires for comfort, impatient to assign a value, to quantify, subjectify. Everything is sold for a copyright, regardless of if the buyer be institutional, commercial, or just regional. And if you don't hop on the wagon, you're, at best, a future road bump. If you're in, then your skin is on the line, or perhaps the skin of your kids, and only then are you allowed to ponder and wax philosophically. None of this is fucking original. It's why assholes like Elon Musk, Curtis Jackson, Taylor Swift, Anonymous, Christopher Hitchens, Andrew Tate, Oprah Winfrey, James Donaldson, Stephen Bunnell, Pope John Paul II, Logan or Jake Paul, any of the Kardashians, including Caitlyn Jenner, didn't make any appearances. Carbon copies of dickwads that came before paving the way of this cyclical magnet. Carbon copies of dickwads that came before paving the way for this cyclical madness. And you're such unimaginatively shit versions of previous mentions that I feel the need to apologize to carbon paper. Good thing we progressed beyond giving everyone of note the same name, else it might have been more difficult to navigate through the last 100 years than that ancient Roman bullshit I quoted. That's why I can't stand the compliments. Why I refute every comment on intelligence or skill directed at me. Because I fucking know for a fact how god-fucking damned difficult it was for me to force my mind to accept whatever asinine task I set it. I don't know why it seems I'm the only one who gets how having one's focus ripped in a multitude of directions can lead to complete breakdown. Those incessant birds blasting away at the brain are just the topics necessary for fucking survival in our modern age, let alone if you want some bastion of escapism that makes living slightly bearable. Meh. You would almost think I'm trying to tie physical and mental health together. All I know is motherfuckers I've worked around never seem to associate my original good attendance and constant cheerful demeanor with the eventual missing persons as I figured out who the hell they were. Yeah, I'm blaming fucking others for me choosing to be absent because I didn't think I could handle socializing that day. That doesn't make my calling a lie. It causes me physical pain and sickness to force kindness and courtesy while resisting murdering you shits. I am shit, and know nothing but the same. Keep trying to tell myself that I'd caused myself some kind of Munchausen disease, fighting anxiety over the plethora of ailments I've been accumulating across my lifetime. I gander the feelings were sowed young when I ran my first mile with the rest of the class. Never been the smallest, but always been very thin and light. Didn't help a lick while I took almost 30 minutes to finish the race. Even the majority of heavier kids were done and waiting on me. The only one other than the slightly overweight booger eater to take so much time. The only person I finished before, and I was still winded as I had tried sprinting the whole damn thing. Maybe asthma, it'll pass over time. From there, heart murmur, frequent loss of vision, constant yet sporadic, uncontrollable shaking, twitching, itching, gut pain, slow blood flow, some weird-ass spot on the left testicle. For fuck's sake, I still have to shake the overwhelming panic that I'm suffering a heart attack or that I've got something living in my ear canal. That last one was going on before I found out it's actually possible. Not a good thing for supporting logic saying you are just being insane again. At least the weed helps. I haven't had headaches in over a decade. And I will swear on my deathbed it assisted in conquering pneumonia for my last severe case. What a laugh. Coming from the moron that still is not completely convinced psychic abilities are fiction for us. Guess blame the lysergic acid lysergic acid dithylamide. Faith of a mustard seed. You want to win the war on drugs, begin with your area of expert fuckery. Shit. Fuck living's encouragement of recognition, rank, reliance. You motherfuckers want people to buy your shit, contribute to society instead of wasting away, fucked up. Start fixing the problems you fucking create when you realize that competing with the big earners means eliminating the dependence on the commoner's pittance. Maybe after figuring that out, the rest of us might be less open to sparing a parasite from the hell on earth we've created. Oh wait, I was talking about drugs. Fuckers. Every time I rear my head from the music, I'm bombarded with hot takes and headlines calling for focus at another subject where nothing can be done but apply pressure to those with responsibility for fixing the problem. Action must be taken, and those who oppose are ignorant at best. What happens when the action happens and the ignorant become the opposition? What happens when the ignorant appeal to intelligence over the environment foisted on their shoulders? Why does everyone keep cheering on the cacophony of noise justifying the loss of any progress humanity might have had to this point? Why am I fucking hellbent on not making any fucking sense at all? Everybody loves a good underdog story. It's why Trump's victory in 2016 was totally unsurprising. But maybe living in Missouri skews my perspective. Fuck the Electoral College. So long I've appreciated it for my own interpretation of it, a stupid half measure of the founders to avoid the very thing they themselves sought. I know this, for here we are, calling for more dissent and more control by a figurehead that was supposed to be just that, a glorified manager of our affairs. Slow, inefficient, incompetent Congress is our voice, the only ultimate authority that possibly should exist, with only power over those serving us, and solely in their work of such because every one of them is us. All the critiques I hear become white noise as it devolves from any source of empathy and principle. No, I never expected progressives to have any real impact, but it was disheartening to see how fast the knee was bent. Same as I never believed Bernie Sanders would be able to revolutionize the whole system. Sorry, Yalahila and Esteros, the Earth ain't fucked yet, nor the answer in outer space. Just like our hoarder-style apartments in the years past, the outlook feels hopeless. That feeling is only real in the mind. Instead, as we focused on section after small section, we finally found ourselves in a cleanish room. Yeah, blah-de-blah, bootstraps, and just takes one individual. The problem stems from it taking every one individual in some capacity. That's where it all goes wrong, eh, Sanders? Absolutely gold to watch you be praised for focusing on the policies, not the parties, only to have it 180 on you in 2020. It's all grand and momentous while everyone is... It's all grand and momentous while everyone's cheering your words till they realize that's the actions, not just you take, but you call on them to take. Then some poorly thought, worded comments get pulled into your comrade's context, and pride has you backpedaling. Now you want to repeat the call, but you're a liar, and frustration sets in as the pressure mounts and the call grows louder. Bah, you chose the side you wanted. Vote blue no matter who. You aren't the first abandoned when the following realized no ultimate reckoning or mystical miracles were going to deem them authentic, automatic victors, and its leader refused to alter their definition of peace. I really had your side for most of my life, Judah. Fuck, I was raised for the purpose... Judea. Fuck. I was raised for the purpose of seeing you as the pinnacle of oppressed peoples. Sadly, I still believe myself an ally, though my advice as to the actions you as a nation should promote would have those on the actual land convinced otherwise. I framed it in a past sense because it's not just about you. My advice wouldn't really change no matter who it was directed at. Alas, there is no grand enlightenment contained within these pages. Talking all that shit on politics, and I'm fairly certain I already mentioned I don't even vote. Fuck politicians. I ain't ever voting either. Nope. Fuck me. Refusing to participate is more useless than just voting for whatever. Right there, though. Could I even vote for the random homeless human I gave my change? And even if it's not illegal, does it even count? And I do not only speak of that 4-year nationwide vote for an office that shouldn't even exist in its current form. Yeah, I need to exercise my rights, but there'll never be a vote for the ones paid for attention. Not while this all remains a form of tribalism. Not while we remain inundated with power, yet abstaining from the only principle I can conceive as good for managing scaled populations isn't the example I wish to present. We can play the game by the rules while still not caving to instinct demand. I always found it too easy to be alone. abandoned loved ones. Choose nihilism, apathy. So many friends I cherished I left to their own devices, maybe to never hear from me again. And it hurts, but family and friends are their own human beings, and everything is lies. I still haven't found a response to confrontation I find acceptable. I still haven't found a response to confrontation I find acceptable. And there's only so many times I can get fucked before I decide it's far better to just walk away than react. This is the wrong answer. Could you imagine if we all hadn't rallied together to shame the autocratic, plagiarist villain Illuminati? I'm laughing my ass off right now. Could you imagine judges, lawyers, cops, all receiving death or at least incarceration as punishment for false incrimination? Doctors and their corporate sponsors being pumped full of the versions of opium they hawked on plebeians. Farmers, ranchers, and their political lapdogs injected with the poison they saturate our sustenance. Now I'm rolling. We have only to look in a mirror as to why this shit's all fucked. What options do we leave each other when we're constantly trying to play a system to shut down looters, racists, fascists, communists? I try to tell myself differently, but fuck Martin Luther King Jr. Always thought El Haj Malik El Shabazz had a better grasp of how real change, real freedom was achieved. Strength of arms. I see it as Malcolm couldn't stomach seeing the scenes of hell that would be endured down that route. Hence why he changed his tune to Junior's Song of Hypocrisy. Where the fuck is your rage? Your fucking hate, LGBT? Any fucking race other... No. Where the fuck is your rage? Your fucking hate, lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgenders, any fucking race other than Caucasian, especially blacks. Ladies, god damn it, rip and tear these motherfuckers spouting off about their guns, whether literally, metaphorically, or implicitly. You fucksticks leak same as all life, and I'll paint this town with you across every corner as a memorandum of fate for espousing actions that work against all. And you can meet me at 1818 North River Boulevard, Independence, Missouri, 64050 if you think you want to hash that out. I walk my dog there every night after 9 o'clock post-Meridian Central Standard Time. No worries on the dog either. Nothing gets to fight for with me, long as I have a say in it. Old habits are difficult to destroy. The reality is you'd have to be trying hard as hell to get a fight from me. No different than you'd probably never hear me speak in the manner I've written here. I'm mild-mannered, soft-spoken, always carrying my nigh toothless smile regardless of environment, emotions. Hence why this audio sounds like I had a robot read it while it's written with an abundance of passion. Half this shit I don't even mean the way it's jotted down, and the other half I gave half the attention it deserved. I guess ignore the quotations or not at your discretion. A master of nothing, certainly not a jack of all trades. Common sense never died, asswipes. It never existed. If anything common existed, then died by our hand, it was courtesy. The only natural knowledge guaranteed at birth is instinct. You know, killing, raping, stealing, lying, control. All of life shares it. The only thing that could separate us is the ability to stop and think, reject that gut feeling. Doesn't matter how many times you got lucky and called it right. It only takes once, which will happen when comprehensive skills on par with any other organism is good enough for you. That's the confusion of animals exhibiting human-like behavior. We're recognizing characteristics of all life. Yes, I also infer that there's no difference in them. They're unique, every individual case, just as us. This is why you kick one dog and it may obey. Another will turn on you, and an even different one will turn on others, just the way you taught it. Whether they were all the same breed or even of the same litter. Shit. Could be the same fucking dog. I'm using a traditional domesticated animal for an example, but I don't exclude wild ones, plants, or even single-celled organisms. This is where I truly feel insane. Believing all this nonsense and still knowing, beyond any evidence, humanity can still redeem itself. The only thing that's possible for the race. The example just needs to be enough for the world to follow, and embrace the knowledge wrought from failure. I'll repeat myself again. I get it. Count me a believer, as I understand the purpose of all the myriad of laws and rules and fancy fucking mathematical philosophical lingo. Though I obviously fail to grasp the nuances and details while making shit summaries, doesn't mean I am precluded from reason. Nothing is. Please trust when I say I don't want us to just wait, servile, for those engaged in wickedness to find the light and give their victims justice, or for those profiting off the suffering of others to realize they have taken their enterprises too far and assist in their demise to ensure none hold the desire to imitate them. However, all this shit ain't fucking working. The numerous logics crafting encompassing society, dissecting all of life, is being used in all the wrong manners. I keep fighting the desire to see all who place themselves in high places be brought low. The trial of all the judges, artists, lawyers, doctors, celebrities, scientists, presidents, organizers, militias, leaders, officers, managers, despots, would bring no peace. What I do know is your fucking nonsense leaves me defending the worst of us. Yeah, I fucking empathize immensely with all the mass murderers, pedophiles, domestic abusers, serial criminals, the perturbed pariahs, the good for nothing. Fucking dicks. My empathy isn't mercy. I'm not your victims. My sense of freedom desiring to keep you chomos and familiar assaulters from rotting in cells or killed is the product of wanting you to choose to have some motherfucker of proportional size roll you as many times as you did it. To have every word, every act performed by any and all of you done back on you, lest the ones you walked all over chose mercy. This should still be self-recognized for the hell you performed. No different to those who may have placed such anguish on you, and back further and further. Fuck you assholes, making it impossible to defend you in any capacity. Every time I attempt to relax from this buffoonery, I'm bombarded with stories of you fucking doubling down and taking out the fucking desperation you've been dealt in the laziest ways possible, ensuring those of us with any similarities attempting to keep calm and carry on get further depths of shit to deal with. Please, though, continue to prove all the fucking douchebags right about systemic racism, traditional family values, patriarchal power structures, and secret societies. Oh look, I did it again. Big surprise. We were talking about children losing their fucking minds on their peers, right? Fear of repetition, romanticization. Fear of repetition, romanticization does not guarantee avoidance, as neither knowledge nor knowledge. No future is set for every scenario is unique. All the shit I've thrown trying to claim everything is the same. If only I had the courage to end myself at times. Certainly what I wish those without the strength to stay their hand would do to themselves when the suffering convinces us to act in a manner we wish not on ourselves. Better that than feeding these fools the validation they desire. Gah, I'm the fucking fool. Let me prove it again. Never hated the idea of protesting, just the manner in which it was carried out. Watching people chaotically mill down streets, screaming chants, disjointedly waving signs till cops give us the 6 o'clock head highlight fills me with disgust. This distaste stems from everything I've mentioned till now. Not the oversimplified gramophone slogans I agree could alleviate some of the oppression to those in the lowest places. Somehow I developed a fixation with the idea of all groups taking to the streets in solidarity. Silence. Defiant silence. No uniforms, goose-stepping, or collective symbol nonsense that you should know by now I hate. But an example of individualism unified, unbroken, unwavering, immovable as a whole, with quiet solitude, staring, patiently waiting. The larger the variety on display, the better. Who the fuck am I kidding? Wouldn't fix shit. Axe the plethora of speeches, populists, movements, demonstrations, co-opted by the very principalities and powers they rallied against. Compromise. I'd like to blame a story of Christ for the obsession of such a method, but more than likely it's how unnerved most get when I stay emotionless and silent, feeling far more gratifying than losing my shit. Yuppers, everybody bottle up till you can't contain it any longer, then kill only yourself. October 7th was so awful. Heh, big, strong, righteous America can't take a bloody nose. How many 9/11s should we forgive? 7 times 70, motherfuckers. But you ain't any better, Hezbollah. You could embrace your faith, recognize and revert the plight you assist in propagating on all, including yourselves, Iran. At any moment, all in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea could shed emotions of fear and hate, regardless of legitimacy, refuse the pretense of superiority, inciting distrust, feeding on control. Can you imagine Russia having all the leaders of opposition parties that have fallen prove inconsequential, for it matters not the individual martyrs, as all remain steadfast in not carrying out the destruction of others solely at the request of a single human? In such a case, even Putin directly went to carry out his vengeance personally, he would not succeed, as those agreeing with whatever policies or positions would stand against such displays of power. I came to these conclusions without needing the substantiation rediscovered about one of our assets getting all butthurt and hypocritical he wasn't getting daddy's money anymore to fuck his own people. Did any of you actually even read Bin Laden's letter? For fucking real. In the meantime, everyone losing their minds over trans people, shut the fuck up till you rectify chopping little boys' nuts off for their angelic voices, having them act as females in your arts, telling little girls their greatest aspirations should be caretakers, breeding tubes, 'cause men got this. You've created whatever problems you think you see. Yes, the idiot vehemently writing liberty or death is now telling everybody to shut their fucking mouths. Fuck me. Using stupid details of history as a pretense for silence till past collective sins be admonished. Fuck you, especially if you're Christian or think this nation was founded on Christianity's moral principles. You don't believe in free speech either. Matthew 5, verse 37. Again, it hath been written by them of old time, Thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord all thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. For whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. 1 Timothy 1, verse 4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. So do. Now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned. From which some, having swerved, have turned aside unto vain jangling, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. 1 Timothy 4, verse 6. If thou put the brethren in remembrance of these things, thou shalt be a good minister of Jesus Christ, nourished up in the words of faith and of good doctrine, whereunto thou hast attained. But refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather unto godliness. For bodily exercise profiteth little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that is now and of that which is to come. James 1, verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. James 2, verse 19. Thou believest there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. Thou hast made thyself like unto them, not being justified. James 3, verse 5. Even so the tongue is a little member, and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Therewith bless we God, even the Father, and therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. 1 Peter 3, verse 9. Not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contrariwise, blessing, knowing that ye are thereunto called, that ye should inherit blessing. For he that will love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil, and his lips that they speak no guile. Matthew 13, verse 29. And Jesus said, O ye generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. Matthew 19, verse 13. Then were there brought unto him little children, that he should put his hands on them and pray. And the disciples rebuked them, saying, There is no need, for Jesus hath said, Such shall be saved. But Jesus said, Suffer little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of heaven. All the fucking children talk. The only difference is a damn biological process that occurs after some time that we arbitrarily measure. They're fucking humans, deserving respect, humility, knowledge, all of it. Sexual manipulation is disgusting regardless of caveats, as I can comprehend it only more so a kid because they haven't been exposed to the knowledge necessary to recognize and make responsible decisions over their body, likely due to their innocence needing so much protection. Whatever. On top of that, we're obsessed with so many aspects of youth. Is it really shocking still? Acting as though we can't conceive of such varying atrocities. How could we when the obsession is deny, hide, burn it to the ground? The public just can't be trusted with certain ideologies, information, truth. Right, Bo? History doesn't rhyme. History doesn't repeat or rhyme. It has never changed because we've never changed, not in the meaningful way. I imagine it's difficult to believe, from a third-person perspective, that I am deeply remorseful, apologetic of my work. I wish I could have conceived and written in a useful, remunerative method after scraping the holier-than-thou, superior-minded wording directed to an audience of theists and philosophers. I convinced myself the message needed to aim at my generation. My message should be hopeful, even if provocative. There were problem points here and there, but it seemed we recognized and agreed the assholes before us had fucked everything up for us. That they had projected the demons that haunted them and their ancestors onto us, while their preventative methods only resulted in spreading the conditions they say bring societal collapse. We certainly fucked that one up. So much of the same. Can't even defend tradition's principles of knowledge, patience, and Can't even defend tradition's principles of knowledge, patience, improvement by separating it from the blind faith interpretive practices, muting critical thought. Apples don't fall far from trees after all. Ha. Then I thought I had to go to the next generation. Get this out before the cycle dug its claws into another. Wild how trying to be the opposite ends up as repetition. I love social media. Feeling my opinions die in real time is glorious. Go ahead, keep laughing. I am. Just still can't help myself. No lie, I actually convinced myself that I was going to try and translate this in other languages. Always wanted to learn at least one, and instead I shoved in every conceivable Americanism, even the ones culturally appropriated. Made it damn near impossible. Truth hurts. Nah, truth just is. We're the fuckers that hurt, right down to the ways we try and frame truth. Reality brings its own suffering and hardships, of course, but those just are, as is the actions of emotion, haste, or ignorance. The best defense is a good offense. Fuck that shit. The best, in all the ways that matter, offense is a perfect defense. The feelings are not the problem. I'll reiterate, we can still think, emote while learning, listening, pursuing a method to overcome our tribulations. Even when the causes for anguish seem beyond control, our knowledge could prepare us to act in haste, bringing relief before the imprint of hell overrides the mind's perception of life. In a perfect world, I keep showing myself as a negative Nancy, which I guess I am. I like to think this is what makes the joys, knowledge, wisdom I've found in various art and media challenge in various art media and channels like Fluffy Talks, Stevie Knight, Top Tens, Today I Found Out, Breaking Points, Upper Echelon, Practical Engineering, Legal Eagle, Mama Dr. Jones, Donut, This Old Tony, Matt's Off-Road Recovery, Alex Steele, George Sprav, Sean Woods, What Culture, Legacy Killer HD, Casualty Comics, Super John Bombo, S. Sift, Estostone, Hildegard von Blingen, Blackie Speaks, so many more, even those mentioned before, a necessary component to keeping my naive hope alive. Heck, do I qualify for Terminally Online yet? The goodness, the resources, the ingenuity, it all exists, always has and will, because its opposite is recorded time and again inherent in every one of us. There's difficulty in the choice which we must recognize first before we can hope to understand those available so as to take the better one. The civil wars, societal collapses, Armageddons, extinction events, climate crises. There's no prediction, just statistical probability on cause and effect. The whole point is to stop ourselves from bringing about our own destruction due to reaction. Yeah, that means all of us on the shit end of the stick have got to suck it up. Separate our hate for the cards seemingly cast and the work that ultimately serves us. We keep earnestly attempting our best even when it all becomes shit. Suffocatingly dealt the oppression of doubt, ridicule, escalating standards regardless of self-improvement. Avoid fixation. Let the emotions feed focus on every aspect of each task our hands are put to, but not wallow in the suppositions invasive thoughts sure to spawn. Allow the help, which includes when dicks come running in to take up the labor you've already engaged in. You embody real humanism by moving to the next agenda they ignored. Respond to weakness, stubbornness, faux stupidity, and all other forms of passive-aggressive assholery with authentic calmness, graciousness, openness, because these are part of killing with kindness, not the oversweet sarcasm condensation that falls under the aforementioned dickishness. The whole point is to kill the bastardized behavior, not match it. We have to engage with one another to promote logic, peace, meaning, at times, yes, you're the one that gets fucked, or at the very least own up to doing the fucking. Be an adult, and don't put it on others to call out behavior you know is shitty, having experienced it personally. When the rush dies and the necessity for quick, obedient action is over, take the moment to explain. Walk through the process of deciding on the plan. After achieving proficiency, don't let the past untrain the aforementioned attributes. Let a motherfucker learn, fail a few more times than once before you come running in to rip shit out their hands. Break the cycle of our guardians' ancestors berating the next up, losing their fucking shit, even at the times the reaction was justified. Our minds and deeds need to teach freedom for all lives, irrespective of circumstance. We accept when someone exerting power over themselves chooses a path we don't understand. Instead of a reflection on them, see it for what it is, a reflection of those you agree commune with, of self. All of it means resisting, or at minimum rejecting, our attempts to bring judgment which we know with the roles reversed would not provide counsel, enlightenment. No worries. I'm well aware how absurd, corny, naive, cringe I've sounded throughout this ordeal. Motherfuckers, I ain't getting older, only becoming more powerful. That is not a joke either. It is a fucking mantra because I crave death. But being its perpetrator means failure. So continue to stop me from pushing spout pseudo-intellectual, spiritual ridicule as I supplement the lacking minerals and vitamins ripped from our diet. Get pissy when I seek further levels of meticulousness planning or choosing a pace for myself that everyone confuses as slander to their work ethic. I'll give the room to change or find another place to abuse my limits. Of course I want help, but not imitation, irritation, inhumanity. I'm happy as shit to torture myself to achieve all the silly little quotas constantly being invented for dirt driving, and pray it fucking kills me as I attempt to show the foolish parts of it with a fucking smile. So what, it takes me longer to learn skills that I can't focus and recall conversations almost at all, and I need simple and quick access to books and notation because my brain doesn't just spew correct memory at command. That corrective lenses doesn't correct my vision, causing me to second-guess myself in every manner. That I can't look past questions raised over societal common consensus that gets talked around, not answered. That I can't command my body to physically obey me consistently. I will continue to pursue hardship, pain, suffering, and love it. Embrace it till I crush it or it me. Fuck. Either stand aside from my pursuit without commentary or finally learn some shit from the example I've taken solely upon my fucking self. I'm not goddamn asking every fucking buddy to gather around the fucking fire, holding hands, singing Kumbaya, agreeing on all the same shit, living in perfect harmony. I'm saying common consent on one fucking thing. Just fucking one. Ha. As you would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. Which includes how you'd wish to be treated in prior circumstances when on their end, no matter how others are presenting themselves at you, putting yourself in another's shoes. Even if you're not the cunt nut, don't be one. Fucking Jesus. Easier said than done. Hence the intro. The problem I have with even good, proper language. Such a nice, tidy little package of a single sentence that attempts to reference far too many environments, actions, choices, to be remotely honest. It's all fun and games till being stalked, hunted by one warped by their passion, fury, or when staring down a troop of sanctioned uniformed enforcers with weapons on you, ready to put it to you. How about when facing the individual embodiment of the continuous encouragement of depravity, bigotry, which must be the dominant cause of the division and destruction of moral societies? Or just a prick bitch in a public area being sideways to self, family, friends, partner, like randomly saying you're wearing your grandmother's shirt who hasn't been cold in the dirt for a year. Just a few really dumb examples, as each of those have a plethora of details, different scenarios, changing the interpretation of any reductio ad absurdum. Put simply, TLDR Black. Take the silly cop example. How does it change your outlook if the individual being apprehended is definitively assaulting, plotting a massacre, collecting materials for a biological chemical weapon, smuggling and crafting large quantities of harmful substances, or evading the warrant for an unpaid seatbelt ticket with expired documentation on their property? The last one had a small amount of pot, meaning popo totally justified. Don't do the crime, to sum it up, right? I mean, of all the meaningless, insanely dumb phrases, TLDR. Too long, didn't read. What the fuck? Why are you commenting with authority of having put forth the effort into understanding a subject if you didn't actually take in all presented information? Even if it's referring to the presumed audience, what fucking disgusting encouragement of forsaking personal research? For Christ's sake, a more accurate cliche already existed, and it could even be anachronized shorter than that shit. LSS. Long story short, summarized, the sum, I'm losing my fucking mind. Obviously, I already stated I place no importance on titles, nor do prior accomplishments support superiority on a subject. No amount of knowledge, information changes the status of a human, so speak no matter heritage, education, occupation, or label. All the goody two-shoes, ethics preaching, hypocrisy, hogwash I've tried spouting. Screeching shut the fuck up at any without the expertise, which I continuously berate for its braggadocious frame of mind. The hypocritical, contradictory, mask-on behavior that I'm calling for isn't to deny, hide, flee from our nature as living creatures, but to finally be fucking honest about it with one another. The ability for us to communicate without fear and listen without inspiring it in the speaker. To channel the understanding, patience, kindness that we want when stupid shit pops out our mouths over and over again. The freedom of an owned place for communion, pursuit, solitude, if wanted, and hopefully the rediscovery of the courage to bring us out from it. Finding joy outside of comfort, for it is yet another fleeting moment. The strength to quiet the emotional distractions when facing hate, pain, branding, foolishness, or just our own inability for receiving the knowledge between being imparted both outwardly and in between the lines. Maybe then I might not be so self-conscious about whipping out my little black book mid-conversation, forcing people to slow the fuck down so I could potentially retain some shit. So I'm not a broken record. What? Even better, shake my trust issues I continuously self-deny from poor reactions every time I force myself to be sociable. You all know what I speak right. Full comprehension doesn't matter, nor whether my experiences or my suppositions reflect your own life. You cannot deny you have felt these emotions, pondered these opinions in some fashion, given pause on a revelation to horribly botch it, sharing the enlightenment, excitement with others. Yet still we play with absolutist notions, quick to bask in our preferred blindness for propping up justifications of power. Fuck the police. Fuck your thin blue line bullshit, disgracing the American flag you're entrusted with in such a fashion. It's a blue fucking blanket, you fuckwads, and it engrosses all 50 fucking stars, separately, individually, but as a fucking whole. Not for the purpose of amalgamation, not to dim the light from one beneath another, but to protect, serve, as the disregarded background for each individual to shine. Fuck all this shit. Fuck me. Fuck all this beating around the bush. And fuck all authority fucking everywhere. In my mind, you can all get yourselves dinkillered. Even the good ones. So eager to be part of the problem. Learned nothing from the visceral evidence and failure to put down a mad dog crafted by the system you support. Instead, you're dumping mags over acorns, getting cozy with control, power, as if such will save you. The answer to his problem wasn't heightened aggression, itchier trigger finger, but once the bullet hit, bite the fucking tongue. Maybe already dead, but not yet. Focus. Isolate the one who's decided death is the only answer and put them down before they carry it out on another after you. Do I offer this advice to those facing the same which you refuse to acknowledge because of numbers, weapons, uniforms, and badges? That whole spirit and pretense for the second Bill of Rights thing. And go fuck yourself, JPEG. At least they gave that vet Andrew Brannon what he deserved. Yep. Such a shit effort. All things only have the perception of difference because of the unique characteristics serving as a distraction from what should be at the forefront of thoughts, while simultaneously being the cause for all of life's beauty. For all life's beauty. How can we not understand currently, continue to refute our contributions of hate at this, that, and the others, which enacts hides the nonsense fucking us all over? No, no, no. Everybody laugh at turning the frogs gay. You know, if memory serves, only one of you lefties gave even half a nod to the article covering the shit he was referencing, which actually contained serious allegations of a company fucking over a South American community, wrecking its environment. The shit you just be fondling all over yourself on, correct? You ain't no better, religious right. Fucking taking not just this, but everything into crazy moon-landing, baby-eating, blood-drinking territory, because staring into the face of the knowledge of the offenders being the precious American God-fearing industries and associated lapdogs you praised, promoted, is just way too fucking hard. Bah. Easily could flip that. For fuck's sake, AI. For fuck's sake, AI will only usher the end of us because we allow it. We keep setting the stage like we desire such an outcome, gatekeeping, burying information at every opportunity, desperate to delegate what is learned so the skeletons stay in the closet, so covetous of what we think separates us from the rest. We lie, ignore ourselves to such fates, and those which benefit the most have the greatest reasons but toughest justifications to spin and prevent rocking the boat. I'm a bit ashamed at my avoidance of the Book of Mormon. There's a lot of fascinating shit to unpack around it, even more so I found after being an atheist for a few years. Here, maybe this can offer a little insight to why I think so. Alma 14, verse 7. And now it came to pass that when the king had sent forth his proclamation that Aaron And now it came to pass that when the king had sent forth his proclamation, that Aaron and his brethren went forth from city to city, and from one house of worship to another. Yea, I say unto you, as the Lord liveth, as many of the Lamanites as believed in their preaching and were converted unto the Lord never did fall away, for they became a righteous people. And it came to pass they called their name Anti-Nephi-Lehi's. And they were called by this name, and were no more called Lamanites. And they began to be a very industrious people, yea, and they were friendly with the Nephites. Therefore they did open a correspondence with them, and the curse of God did no more follow them. And the king died in that self-same year that the Lamanites began to make preparations for war against the people of God. Now there was not one soul among all the people who had been converted unto the Lord that would take up arms against their brethren. And this they did, it being in their view a testimony to God, and also to men, that they never would use weapons again for the shedding of man's blood. And thus we see that when these Lamanites were brought to believe and to know the truth, they were firm and would suffer, even unto death, rather than commit sin. Now when the people saw that they were just coming against them, they went out to meet them, and prostrated themselves before them to the earth, and began to call on the name of the Lord. And thus they were in this attitude when the Lamanites began to fall upon them, and began to slay them with the sword. And thus, without meeting any resistance, they did slay 1,005 of them. And we know that they are blessed, for they have gone to dwell with their God. Now when the Lamanites saw that their brethren would not flee from the sword, neither would they turn aside to the right hand or to the left, but that they would lie down and perish, and praise God, even in the very act of perishing under the sword. Now when the Lamanites saw this, they did forbear from slaying them. And there were many whose hearts had swollen in them for those of their brethren who had fallen under the sword, for they repented of the things which they had done. Helaman 1, verse 2. For behold, Pahoran had died and gone the way of all the earth. Therefore there began to be a serious contention concerning who should have the judgment seat among the brethren who were the sons of Pahoran. Nevertheless it came to pass that Pahoran was appointed by the voice of the people to be chief judge and a governor over the people of Nephi. And it came to pass that Pachumeni, when he saw that he could not obtain the judgment seat, he did unite with the voice of the people. But behold, Panaki, and that part of the people that were desirous that he should be their governor, was exceeding wroth. Therefore he was about to flatter away those people to rise up in rebellion against their brethren. And it came to pass, as he was about to do this, behold, he was taken and was tried according to the voice of the people, and condemned to death, for he had risen up in rebellion and sought to destroy the liberty of the people. Now when those people who were desirous that he should be their governor saw that he was condemned unto death, therefore they were angry, and behold, they sent forth one Kishkumen, even to the judgment seat of Pahoran, and murdered Pahoran as he sat upon the judgment seat. And Kishkumen and his band, who had covenanted with him, did mingle themselves among the people in a manner that they all could not be found. But as many as were found were condemned unto death. And Kishkumen and his band, who had But behold, Kishkumen, who had murdered Pahoran, did lie in wait to destroy Helaman also. And he was upheld by his band, who had entered into a covenant that no one should know his wickedness. For there was one Gadianton, who was exceeding expert in many words and also in his craft, to carry on the secret work of the murder and of robbery. Therefore he became the leader of the band of Kishkumen. Helaman 2, verse 21. And it came to pass in the 49th year of the reign of the judges, there was continual peace established in the land, all save it were the secret combinations which Gadianton the robber had established in more settled parts of the land, which at that time were not known unto those who were at the head of the government. Therefore they were not destroyed out of the land. 3 Nephi 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass that the 91st year had passed away, and it was 600 years from the time that Lehi left Jerusalem. And it was in the year that Laconius was the chief judge and the governor over the land. And it came to pass that in the commencement of the 92nd year, behold, the prophecies of the prophets began to be fulfilled more fully, for there began to be greater signs and greater miracles wrought among the people. But there were some who began to say that the time was past for the words to be fulfilled which were spoken by Samuel the Lamanite. Now it came to pass that there was a day set apart by the unbelievers, that all those who believed in those traditions should be put to death, except the sign should come to pass which had been given by Samuel the prophet. Now it came to pass that when Nephi the son of Nephi saw this wickedness of his people, his heart was exceeding sorrowful. And it came to pass that he cried mightily unto the Lord all that day. And behold, the voice of the Lord came unto him, saying, Lift up your head, and be of good cheer. For behold, the time is at hand, and on this night shall the sign be given. Behold, I come unto my own, to fulfill all things which I have made known unto the children of men, from the foundation of the world, and to do the will both of the Father and of the Son, of the Father because of me, and of the Son because of my flesh. Now the Nephites began to reckon their time from this period when the sign was given, or from the coming of Christ. And it came to pass in the 13th year, there began to be wars and contentions throughout all the land. For the Gadianton robbers had become so numerous, and did slay so many of the people, and did lay waste to so many of cities, and did spread so much death and carnage throughout the land, that it became expedient that all the people, both the Nephites and the Lamanites, should take up arms against them. 4th Nephi 1, verse 1. And it came to pass that the 34th year passed away, and also the 35th. And behold, the disciples of Jesus had formed a church of Christ in all the lands round about. And it came to pass in the 36th year, all the people were converted unto the Lord upon all the face of the land, both Nephites and Lamanites. And there were no contentions and disputations among them. And every man did deal justly one with another. There were no robbers, no murderers, neither were there Lamanites, nor any manner of ites. But there were in one the children of Christ, and heirs to the kingdom of God. And he kept it 84 years, and there was still peace in the land, save it were a small part of the people who had revolted from the church, and took upon them the name of Lamanites. Therefore there began to be Lamanites again in the land. And from that time forth they did have their goods and their substance no more common among them, and they began to be divided into classes, and they began to build up churches unto themselves to get gain, and began to deny the true church of Christ. And it came to pass that the wicked part of the people began again to build up the secret oaths and combinations of Gadianton. And also the people who were called the people of Nephi began to be proud in their hearts, because of their exceeding riches, and became vain, like unto their brethren the Lamanites. And it came to pass that the robbers of Gadianton did spread over all the face of the land, and there were none that were righteous, save it were the disciples of Jesus. What the fuck am I even doing here anymore? I had to cut myself a bit short again, but I think I got the most relevant parts in that quotation. You know, the old-timey bigotry, racism, BS Jews and Christians have saturating their scriptures that was too prevalent for J. Smith to ignore. Couldn't you hear how enlightened the Book of Mormon was? Fuck. I'm an ass. The only context I'll give here is this. Nephites are the Israelites, the Lamanites are the people outside the covenant, and the whole thing is supposed to be some Old Testament of the people living in the Americas before the conquistadors. I hope to share some verse that clearly showed the strange similarity between some verses and the physical evidence archaeology has uncovered on Mesoamerican civilizations, but I've been too focused on the Bible as of late and did not have the book committed to memory as I felt I did. It wouldn't have altered anything I have to say. The damn thing gets far less right than it does wrong. no different than its influence. It's blatant to me that the author conjured most of it up. Even giving it as much benefit of the doubt I can muster, I can't see it as any more than coincidence. If you think I'm talking shit, think again. The damn thing is a fucking work of art. Obviously a more imaginative, creative body than what you're getting here. This country should be heralding the dude as the great revival, Civil War era American Shakespeare. I mean, a farm-raised bumpkin with no real education for the period, crafting a multi-triple-digit work containing a fabricated history of over 1,000 years, steeped in references and symbolism of the environment. Certainly sounds impressive to me, when framed the way I did. Those similarities I referred to are easily explained when you don't assume the average pre-19th century person was dumber than a box of rocks for a living before most of the technological innovations of the present. I mean, the dude lived closer to the colonizer era than I by almost a couple centuries now. But they didn't have social media, and the past was the worst, right? Nazis were never the only book burners, asswipes. You motherfuckers be playing fucking games, referencing the accounts of humanity with certainty while understanding the very same tells how much of its tales we've lost. And that doesn't even include the shit we fucked with purposefully. Hell, if you've been paying attention, you know a single individual's thoughts isn't what even irritates me. I fucking hate how we, the masses, elevate the sentiments of these very few, very, very opinionated and free individuals. Very, very opinionated and free individuals that had the privilege to chronicle our events. My head rings with those unheard, written over, lambasted, even rightfully so. My empathy lies with the dumbasses suffering with incomprehension of language, choosing example over verbiage, characterized by their oddities. Empathy. Psh. Don't kid yourself, psycho. Sympathy is the correct word. I share nothing with them, know nothing of them, about them, obviously. The proof is right here with this desperate, pathetic hollering for attention. Yeah, we gotta be okay with not being heard, with only having power over self, getting shat on for putting what we thought was our all into the effort. Cease any semblance of pissy behavior regardless of pet peeves, button pushing. And I'm talking to you jackwagons at the top, dickwads that I'm left without choice to number myself among because a full-time job with benefits. Blech. History is written by the victors, and it's fucking ate the fuck up. I don't limit victor to some leader or general or celebrity or plutocrat or academic. Who can I even call that, as even the custodians fuck themselves by earning their prize? This leads to the more frustrating side of peers, having previously uttered what I would deem wisdom, declare support for a side, search for subliminal meanings for future certainty, grip tightly to parasocial idioms. Fuck. I wonder if going with more obscure examples would have been the better route. At least they would have gotten a shout out. Meh. Y'all just give a fuck about your stupid goats. The ones with a dog in the fight on narratives. Nothing would have changed. You can always get a throwaway mention for laughs in the locked libraries of intellectuals. Be part of the argument supposedly refuting my thought on how insignificant the depths of hill dying done over bygone days are. The authority and authenticity. The shade I threw at reactors was totally unjustified when they're just following the guidelines encouraged by y'all. Yeah, we ain't changing shit. Every time I read about someone utilizing some form of that passion, it's all words. More fucking trash to excuse using the same tactics as the opposition. Weighing 2 pounds of flesh for every nail. I find the atrocities our ancestors committed against the Native Americans worthy of worse than death. What would you have done any differently? All the immigrant families just get shuffled onto their 2 small square foot piece of land to overpopulate and pollute. Or better, deport them back to the land of their persecution so the rightful owners can roam the plains free and war with one another as they religiously believe is their right. You motherfuckers 100% guaranteeing any jobs or life-lasting financial support when you fill your mouths and flood collective ears on shit about what this service worker should do or the duty of that politician or the integrity of public employees. Oh wait, quid pro quo there. Oh wait, quid pro quo there. Bah. I'm just salty. Most of us will be lucky to have some self-aggrandized experts arguing about whether we said, wrote a thing or not. Or if we even existed 1,000-ish years from now. Hence, we all gotta be reasonable. Coalesce behind the ones with the whichever qualifier. Assist your boy to the rightful recognition as the pinnacle of insert category. Lest, oh dear, how will history remember us? All the time and effort and funds and hype should lay the groundwork for victory. But every individual with a claim is a variable, especially if they can lay it out in a popular, rousing, thoughtful manner, according to enough of us. No worries, though. As we unanimously agreed, we're eager to shut down our move towards more open public communication because it's Rule 34, destroying the youth, voicing stochastic terrorism, interfering with elections, spreading misinformation, giving any layman the same platform as those like Rachel Maddow, Piers Morgan, Dennis Prager, Noam Chomsky. Can we please stop trying to validate the theories of douchebags like Sapolsky? I ain't asking for us to lie ourselves into refuting physical limitations, evidence. This has not been some dumbass mind over matter entreaty. I'm saying mind over mind, for Christ's sake. Half the fuck shit causing our problems stems from there, and the other half would go a fuckload smoother with the first half on lock. And I don't want to hear it from any of you religious fucks, because that's the fucking thing you all got common. How special our creation was because of what? Our fucking minds. So maybe we encourage putting some more focus on that shit instead of less. Let's not forget what fucking encouragement looks like either. Silence if the critique is seeded with the shit you hate. Bite your tongue if it helps. Put that same fucking mentality of effort garnered from anything that brings you even the smallest tickle and introspect that to be applied wherever the fuck it's needed for you to cease enabling whatever version of dickery you participate in. I.e., stop yourself, think, walk the shit out, or at very least acknowledge hindsight with your hands, feet, manner, and leastly your mouth. That's your free will, you fucking asswipes. There's the very fucking agency you utilize to refute itself at every opportunity as if that will erase it. Fuck. Been beating y'all's ass with the Bible. I just wish a God was watching. Damn it. Don't know why I'm even letting myself get worked up. Every one of you is pleased as peaches, crafting, seeking the echo chambers to scream in or at, despite whatever hell you raise. Fucking... Can you just put the aluminum foil down for a minute, Chris? For a moment, Chris. Is this really the method I've settled on? This garbage is how I've decided to say what I wish. Guess keep reaffirming. No shame. For fuck's sake, you people make the method look so damn fun. chirping and bleating and gargling in emotion over nonsense. Why not jump on the bandwagon and see if I can't get a little limelight? Cock. Just making a bigger fool of myself. Trying to throw hints, nods, silly Easter eggs, surface level correlations. I've done nothing but spout confusing, false, and or novice statements. Which is just hilarious as my puny brain needs all the shit we've crafted. The breakdowns, the elementary level walkthroughs, the long-winded, redundant manuals, to pick up on so many of the double entendres, witty references, intended inferences. I need all you other motherfuckers with a better grasp of problem solving, so I'm not spending a decade just to get to the surface level shit. But please, all of you continue to craft your Voynich manuscripts. That'll help, surely. I wonder if any feel with this the same way I did listening to that poor woman who had convinced herself into leaving with her abusive husband to join some crazed neo-Native American spiritualistic pseudo-Christian Buddhist white-eyed Derek. Crazed neo-Native American spiritualistic pseudo-Christian Buddhist white identitarian fucking hell. White identitarian cult down in Arizona. Don't know why I felt like there was something more I could have said that maybe would have swayed what I saw as a chaotic state of reasoning clouding judgment. But instead, I just listened, rarely interjecting a question about the situation till I had nothing more of prudence, compassion to relay. Think about all this shit too much. And why not? It's all the talk, our favorite pastime, our dirty little open secret. As I've said more times than I care to, I can't even begin to fashion solutions to every situation, which then varies by the unique beings involved, drastically. But the differences aren't changing outcomes, and I can't figure out the reasons till we start giving a fuck about the inconsequential. Stop glazing over them with a statistic as if it's an explanation. That's where the unfortunate everyone needed come out and play. There is only the try. The do or do not are just the consequences of the try, and open to interpretation by everyone. No one can do the things you can because it's only you, every human individual. Nothing in here is for anyone else, but instead a reflection of my struggles to find my own path. All the antagonism saturating this work is a pathetic recognition of problems, because look where we are. But solving it is on the motherfuckers doing the shit. No one thing can do anything for yourself. Whatever help provided is just a tool. Any statements misconstrued as advice will have to be recrafted personally to be successful, because it's a solo venture. And then what success was being sought at what cost? Good fucking God, look what I've done here. So much worse than I could have imagined. Fucking Old Testament prophets, even Yeshua himself, did better with their retarded ass, time-twisted parables riddles. Guess I should give in and seek a little therapy, huh? For an atheist, I seem to have a serious God complex. Why not let's give a true nod to the original purpose of this book before I try to wrap it up, so I can finally shave and look a little less like a Renaissance artist's dream muse for whitewashing Christ's visage. Or a modern-day wannabe cult leader. The way I interpret the conglomerate of nonsense, God is pro-life, anti-slavery, small government, just as they intended women as equals, approves homosexuality, transgenderism, globalism, and so much more on both sides of these redundant culture wars. It's clear as day, all due to to how these wise men deliciously struggled to weave their words around the shit. That's the sum of all these books. The words, thoughts of humans. Wish I could have convinced myself to slow down even more and include something other than a few influential in my raising. Ah well, let's dive into all my whacked out thoughts on what your precious scriptures have been saying from day one, despite its human messengers. Hopefully I can manage to be a bit more blunt, direct, instead of trying to pretend I'm clever. I'll start at the beginning of the majority of Christian recognized texts and teachings. Adam and Eve, from the very get-go, of the majority of Christian recognized texts and teachings, Adam and Eve. From the very get-go, we've been painting unnecessary shit onto the lessons learned. The apple, or fruit of the tree, was never the fucking sin. Even the disobedience of partaking was not the point. The deflection, blame shifting, what snitching actually is. Our actions stemming from shame, the hindsight of past expectation becoming past remorse. That's the eye-opener. Recognizing we'd played ourselves, then seeking the most comfortable solution. Tree didn't give us shit. The capability of understanding was already there, made in God's image. But oh, shiny new thing. As if covering our nakedness was the fucking issue, not the fucking shit we allow our emotions to convince us of. Listen here, sheeple. God made us disgusting and sinful looking, so we gotta really cover up so God and his debaucherous doppelganged creation doesn't have to look at the tempestuous abomination in bare form. I mean, are we really this fucking dumb? Yes. Yes, we are. Adam got kicked out of paradise and still drove his son Cain into the emotions of hate, deceit, with his open favoritism of Abel. Oh wait, that was God, wasn't it? Because Cain couldn't follow instructions. Hence, his envy being rewarded accordingly. Thou shalt not covet. All these fucking repentance harbingers screaming about the sins of the people, so caught up in homosexuality, ruckus gathering, intoxication, fornication, witchcraft, idolatry, usury, illness, poverty. These were the foolish lenses that still frame the issue. All of these were dumb attempts to solve the problem of us fucking one another over at every given opportunity. That's why the common thread, even when a laughable side note, can't help but be the Lord God alone having the authority over all the earth. Even when they're not saying some shite like judgment being the Lord's alone while delivering such verdicts from their lips, they crow constantly over their words being from the mouth of God. You're not listening to some nobody, no different than you. Nah, God's saying this shit. You see what God just did to us, man? Focus up, Chris. The message was always the same. The shit I've mentioned that you pulpit pounders, sycophantic shepherds bray incessantly over is a basic acknowledgement of how situations given to heightened emotions can easily slip into an environment where someone is getting their freedom stripped from them. The obsession with these very narrow instances that can also possibly be a factor for said generalization is part of the fucking nonsense that has always been the issue. Men. humans, believing they have the right to be judges, the arbiters of morality. One of the examples of those situations conveniently looked over, though it's directly tied to your greatest commandment. However, got yourselves in so many knots trying to thread tradition, history, and cultural perceptions that you've done fucked marriage 6 feet deep. Should be the best archetype humanity could offer this world. I blame sex, intercourse, making love, fucking. Why on earth are we so fucked up over an act, plain and simple? All the surrounding arguments over it seem about intent. So yeah, some of the ways it can be done are bad. How about then we just agree that any form where any of all involved parties is hesitant, uninterested, incapable of unmanipulated sentient engagement means no-go? Oi. Yes, I think it should only be about pleasure, joy, but for all participants. To be achieved, there must be accurate, open, but thoroughly thought-through communication for health, prosperity, peace, and logically, yes, the less partners, the less opportunity for potentially lifelong consequences. A percentage game. But in no fucking way does that tie the act to marriage. Just like I highly doubt a god ever wanted us procreating the rest of their creation, including us, into extinction across the 4 corners of the earth, or the highest template for what keeping our word looks like, how to treat and interact with one another, is dependent on some ordained third-party individual. I do not see the same being finding an act they specifically designed into creation as sinful or solely for the purpose of making babies. We've made it about power, about carnal nature, about all the hurtful shit we see it capable of. We've saturated the discussion right up to the appearances and operations of our own bodies with presumption, speculation, coercion. Why else we got motherfuckers out here thinking they gotta get it in any way they can, and the others trying to exploit the sentiment for personal gain. On top, a whole system opposed to the very notion, desperately pushing it to this day. By all means, keep it up though. Only got so many cheeks for turning. One of the many examples of Christ being an idiot. Sounds to me like the advice of one who hasn't bothered to ponder the depravity of human beings, or at the very least, is the command still turn your cheek when it's being witnessed, when it's bearing witness to another turning theirs being struck repeatedly, mercilessly? Is it turn the other cheek as power, control, force continues to become more prevalent, popular? When legitimate authority demands compromise, not just of you, but your families, neighbors, friends. When those tasked with protection, proliferation, obedience of our communities rip down our freedoms, tightening the economic noose at the behest of the majority. If he wasn't being ignorant, he was influenced by the same falsehood all other wise men will consistently fall prey to. Change is the goal, but you got to have a place to start. Success dependent on playing to the populace. More flies with honey. Fuck that shit. If even a tenth of that cliche played a part in them entwining basic ethics with exemptions, paradoxes, skirting relevant knowledge on existent livelihood, effectively exploiting circumstance, I see that willful ignorance, intentional hypocrisy as the evil they pretended to fight. Which is my problem. Obviously, I don't think the command was to lay down and die, and or watch others do the same. I see the promotion of peace in such a statement, but the embellishment provides cover for interpretation. If you're going to choose defense in the face of perceived injustice, Recognize where stopping the violence ends, and you adding your version to the instance begins. For the goal is not to end the being, or even their desire to behave in such a manner, but end the circumstances that make that choice desirable for all of us. At minimum, understand that attacking in defense means another's harm and justice of your own to face. You shouldn't set the example of fucking hiding like a scared animal from it. Just like those damn prophets of old, so terrified of touching certain nerves. Christ may have been the most principled example of the lot, but there's why he had his own fucking blind spots. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Tripe like that is exactly the shit. It's why I had to give that one a specific mention earlier on. Not a fucking one of you get it, and I don't give a fuck about the linguistic academia claims. About the linguistic academia claims. You faith fuckers can't say differently. I don't want to hear a word about how that verse finishes with some give to God what is God's horse ninny. The thought experiment was about the foolish ways we use our minds, allowing our thoughts to focus on perpetrating the very mannerisms that get us fucked in the beginning according to them. It was never only about Caesar, or taxes, or even the function of economy, and the only relation to God it shared was all the qualifiers of how Christ viewed following God. I've already thrown shade on his thoughts about our behavior, and the mentions other than God were the second fiddles to those problematic points. Same as all the others, following the literal commands he gives for living life leaves you with nothing, expecting some fucked up reward after death. I refuse to believe that a being would have created us with such potential for creativity, joy, art, innovation, learning, and their vision for heaven on earth was everybody have nothing, because all time, work, excess should be for our earthly masters, partake in nothing but sucking deity balls with our words all day, because one day they're the ones who's gonna make it right. Every time I'm over here cheering some shit on only to watch the plot unravel, unrelated tangents being tossed in that might even seem to say the opposite of the point just stated plainly. The message is freedom, about not forcing one another to partake in our fantasies no matter the form, kind, situation, and no force used to ensure fantasies deemed inappropriate aren't engaged in. Only protection from force. If any kind of power or control is being promoted by such a being, it's of self. Fuck. Univocality. What a laugh. That's your goddamn inerrant Bible. Even with fucking Noah, God didn't send the motherfucking flood. He was warning of it. And despite humanity's continued assholery, he tried to get the one motherfucker kinda listening to get the others on board. That was Noah's dick move. So hung up on all the wickedness going around. Probably spent most of his time harping on some bullshit in the most dog water way possible instead of encouraging motherfuckers to save themselves. Change ways, else God'll fuck you up. Here lies a portion of the entire issue. Gotta throw every damn little thing at God's feet. We've been given the very tools to grow, to figure this shit out. A complete waste if he just wanted to fucking hold our hands the whole way, casually throwing inconveniences, calamity, luck, blessings around to fuck up the day depending on his mood. Every time anyone be screeching about some revelation of sin, It should be viewed as a personal fucking problem. If you can't engage in a behavior without fucking someone over, then the message of restraint is for your ass alone. The information is not this thing evil don't go near. It's for separating the one act from those we want to associate it with. Claiming reactions are acceptable in the face of the first, or at the thought of the first even being possible. We must find the strength to trust. I'm not talking about setting up contingencies, reinforcing preparation, overbearing consistent communication, meticulous fruitless planning. We need to encourage, train the power over self for overcoming the instinctual desires that come from being lied to, not just being cool-headed, nigh apathetic about the suspicious activity others may possibly be engaged in due to a sense of confidence in our capability of dealing with such a future when it comes, but the level-headedness when it does happen to show that confidence. Present yourself not with only critique, but kindness, not only with pain, but compassion. If you can't take the hit without losing it, walk away. Let another better suited attempt before you shut that future down by skewing the thoughts of the offender from opening their mind to a better way. That's turning the other cheek. This is marriage. Fucking God. I can't apologize enough to you survivors. Fucking God. I can't apologize enough to survivors. Breathe. Here we go. Yeah. Stick it out. For better or for worse. The point is the promise. Our word. The acknowledgement of we die the fuck alone doesn't mean we gotta be so desperate to fucking live that way. Not about the progeny spawned as they grow, live, die, but the fucker you have attempted to share lives with. Not about providing submissiveness, gratification, or even passion, but whatever asswipe chosen needing as much of the emotional, mental bullshit you think you need. Dependency is disgusting to me. One has to be careful when playing with independence fantasies, as it's easy to take it full circle. No matter who you are, what you are, if you live, you depend on others living, or past. The only clarity I can give on my thoughts for such a bias-based subject is finding and cultivating the desire to improve, push personal boundaries, limitations in the variety of ways available. Not just for the enrichment of self, but for the example it will help others give back to you in their methods. Many hands make light the work. No God would have a singular special someone solely designated for another individual. We determine this because it could be any motherfucker chosen, available. The point is not the other individual, but ourselves the individual. No matter where on the spectrometer you fall, when promising to bind oneself to another human being, there will be fuckery. The key is the reaction to it. Fuck all the vow shit. These are supposed to be actions. So how does it look in the heat of the moment? No matter how prepared, no matter the amount of information gathering, you will get blindsided. And these instances will pile up as they will be ignored, or worse, all is... If the point arrives, you can no longer act in the manner you wish returned. Leave, I guess, as the damage is already done. Just like its counterpart, divorce isn't some ceremony. It's the actions of its components. Nor does it require both parties, as its inception occurs the moment of betrayal. Which is why, if you can't help show such from an understanding of your own moments to help overcome theirs, yeah, leave and Find the one that will inspire that in you. Something probably assisted. If there is faith, the other will respond in the same way, consistently. So easy to say. The faster you are to the faster you are to cut the ties as well. Kids shouldn't be a driving factor, but they still fucking exist. And of course humans just change sometimes years down the road. Then all the stigmatisms and the people's judgment, all the emotional garbage that can be heaped up. Because all of us can't just be a separation, plain and simple. And knowledge it was just an individual instance, that ways were to go separately, that peace and kindness were present but not capable in a continued state. Only you know if you're putting your all into it. Only you know if you're putting your all into any relationship, because that's ultimately the lesson. Full comprehension of all hardships that lie in wait with confidence that each one will be handled as they come. The strength to take the hits and return it with comfort, peace, confidently understanding that you're completely fucking wrong. And the knowledge will help bring discernment when you're not helping or becoming stronger. You're wallowing. No, I will not make clear any of my positions with concrete details for either sex, because that's your fucking place in the position of commitment. But we gotta start figuring out quelling animosity, control, vengeance, placing these emotions where they belong. None of these have any place in building an enduring promise over our lifetime, which is how a better society is built. A society that maybe has a robust enough support system to keep the involved encouraged to pursue life and freedom, even apart. This is how I know marriage is not about sex, gender, or even about a couple wanting to snoo-snoo minus an additional long-term economic responsibility. Yeah, sure, it is about sticking it out through thick and thin. But no, that means nothing of what it sounds like, because the whole mentality is both a goal and a guide for promoting the traits necessary on cooperating in the most basic fashion to keep all this shit functioning in a non-pathetic, halved version of itself. We can start by stopping with the fuck. We can start by stop fucking with the trans people, making the whole situation far fucking worse than it has any fucking right to be. Pretending like men and women have some fucking secret list of gender qualifications God laid on motherfuckers as a prerequisite for fucking heaven. It's only about humanity, kindness, basic courtesy, freedom. What I conclude from these personal interpretations is people like Elizabeth Bathory, Gregory Novik, John Gacy, Judas, shit, even Satan. Even Satan has a better shot at entering your precious paradise than most of you. Hell, the prison house, just nonsense. After death would bring an opportunity to know what you did not and pay penance for the assholery you committed while alive, so you could then be at peace and eternal happiness. That's why not a fucking one of us is to lay judgment against anyone's character other than self. It legitimizes the ability to teach on the conclusions of actions taken. God's got that other shit. He'll be taking care of all the bad guys when the fucking time comes, and nobody else. I refuse to believe otherwise either, as it's the only possible concept of a supreme creator that I could find an iota of respect towards. In other words, As someone who doesn't believe in God and happily says, short of the motherfucker showing up in a group with me, so with concrete physical evidence of all the fucking claims in tow, I will eagerly partake in rebellion if any of your versions are even remotely fucking correct. I fail to see how a single one of you basting believers give a single fuck about any of the things I've covered in any meaningful way. Far more engaging to argue with non-believers over semantics that you helped craft. Ain't that right, Thomas E. Woods, Jr.? God knows I'd better fucking clarify that I'm only speaking for myself as an atheist for my next statement. Got the whole community falling over itself to, well, actually comfort themselves on not being a monolith as they squawk the same points. Jokes. Seems like the religious fucks got you all a bit worked up over their just like us claims. Must have hurt to watch the flag bearers on the national stage of atheism coo over Christian morality. But it was all cheers when they promoted the theocratic tactics being viewed critically as a way of combating the foolishness of faith in a sky daddy. We don't need to crush religion or its stranglehold on institutions, or definitively refute the existence for the source of societal blindness, because all of us just need them practicing what the fuck the core is of their fucking preaching. Show these motherfuckers that their faith does not command the actions they propagate. Listen and reveal that these traditions, interpretations, have lost their meaning to be substituted as a method of control. That when you follow through these primitive human attempts to grapple with understanding the struggle of not getting to fuck one another, their will fails because they ultimately throw others under the bus. Prove it matters not if others hold faith in similar fashion, because they, having joined in acting in real faith, helped all to act according to God's most basic will, even if your true version wasn't the credit in this life. A good and merciful God will be known even after life, where all will be given the chance at redemption, which I can only imagine would be more pleasing to such an entity if it could be as simple as, oh, you were real this whole time, at the moment of clarity. Who am I even fucking kidding? The loudest openly faithful seem to prefer Charlemagne's methods anyway. Just as I see the objective morality I've laid out through these passages needing no supreme being for their importance, I don't believe in a fucking God or spirits or anything remotely related, because I do not interpret the evidence in the same manner you do. That's it. All there is to it. Fantastic you see God's hand in all this shit. I very plainly, with no other fucking insinuations on the statement, do not. I see at every turn an equal leap in logic to materialize a view of God as any of the extrapolations humans have theorized from our species' interactions across eras. Rather raise the flag of correctness on each other's hills than plainly examine, ponder, discuss all things as a means to promote universal comprehension and therefore prosperity. And I'm doing it again. This is why I love that misquote attributed to Luther. It doesn't matter how he, or the person who miswrote it, intended the statement on faith. The messenger's outlooks and phrasings allow poor communications of simpler proposals in all examples. Perhaps something to the tune of the assurance of things hoped for has to inspire compassion even when knowledge and wisdom refute the utility, sensibleness of charity. The evidence of things not seen doesn't need to supersede, impose upon history, science, or art, and that's because the evidence comes from the assurances, your actions. That's what it means. You don't get to be right in a technical sense, or find proof in the cosmos. However, maybe an unwavering stance on the equality of all and the treatment that comes with it might inspire all, including those with talent, to imitate that belief through their innovations while understanding the movements of our universe. Feel like we gotta start here first. Something about your own house in order. God fucking Jesus, why the fucking hell am I even still fucking rambling? What the fuck am I trying to fucking say? Maybe atheists, stop pretending you're steel manning the intelligent designer argument. I mean, for fucking real. Would you, as an omnipotent being, want to create some shit that you constantly had to manage every little detail of to ensure things kept working? Here. Better example. When you go to show, teach another something, even an animal, you're elated when the light bulb seems to come on because you know their understanding meaning they can replicate the action without your constant fucking monitoring. You have the power and knowledge to stick around and consistently watch the attempts, so is it your fault when they fuck it up? Heh, don't answer that. It's just, if a motherfucker went through the painstaking detail to figure out how beauty could occur naturally without constant intervention, why would such strip the ability given to understand and promote this beauty and encourage its replication within its natural means? Fuck all that shit. How about, can we stop feeding this duopoly? They've proven time and time again they have no interest in the people, or the ideologies of forebears, freedom. Just how awesome would it be if a large portion of us decided to vote for anything but their fucking stooges placed before us? Fuck. It'd take millions. Like the ones abstaining from voting for anybody? No, it's not the same. It's still participating because we don't need to agree on a somebody. We just need to agree on not any of them. Fucking Christ. That doesn't matter either. I was hoping to at least beat this election. But it's August now. The name holding any position should not be influential in the way we make it. How can anyone believe Trump supports the working class as a billionaire? He is one of the elites, not against them. Stupid fucking take by the admissions of prior shit-talking. He's awkward and pushy. And a narcissist with a totalitarian complex, right? Ever consider that's why he's on the outside of the elite as a rich elite? That these qualities could have some pretty basic assumptions on psyche, like having an axe to grind with snobs that could be relatable while mimicking the same antagonists. Something history has shown time and time again. This election is as meaningless as all anointments of leaders past and yet to come. Whether it's Kamala or Trump, both have the flaws that qualify you for the marionette seat that rich fucks will have. For the marionette seat that rich fucks have happily steered us into putting more power and influence behind. All figures of all affiliations sponsor laws that affect lives regardless of party besides the one of means, status. Many have recognized that outright control doesn't further progression, as there will always be opposition to such a display. Hence, why Trump is so vehemently opposed and feared. They recognize they bullied the snot-nosed weird kid in their group too hard, and now one of their own wants to get back at them by taking the reins personally. Yeah, I highly doubt a Trump path to the official end of the American experiment would be successful. But with a little help from enough of you friends, we can at least achieve decimation, chaos. That's why you asinine trickle-on-me conservatives need to recognize blatant authoritative rhetoric. rhetoric and action when it's promoted among you. My mind is beyond fucked. My fears over the end is paved by those who use calm, neutral, good language, point to specified accolades to cast doubt on others, like Barack Obama, Joseph Biden, Catherine Porter, Paul Ryan, Nikki Haley, John McCain. Which is why I really need you stick it in my equality for all lefties to be a tad bit more conscious, woke, to your own institutions playing your ideals, which in truth are only phrased differently than those across the aisle. But fuck. A plethora of one side's gotta figure this shit out, or we just gonna keep going at one another over some bullshit that's handed down from the top. It doesn't matter who has these offices, because at any moment, whomever can decide to start listening critically to the figures who held the ear for so long, and seek to comprehend the manners in which the potential to provide freedom to all stops, or is flowery language for an antithetical goal. Gain. Oi. So much tinfoil horse ninny. Scratch all that shit. Fucking fuck. Definitely not any of that last shit. Let's try black community. Can you just agree to find some new language regarding cultural appropriation, or at the minimum, systemic racism? These dumb fucks I share a skin tone with can't get it through their skulls that the government needs to pay for stripping the freedoms of its people away, and that making a mockery of these hardships while promoting the exploitation coming from what are their masters also only keeps this fucked cycle going. Despite whatever the reality is due to the manner it's written in here, I obviously believe I'm empathetic to your cause. And yes, it's the pathetically blatant from a prior entry reason the largest portion of my blood is Irish. Well, if I believe the fam. The Irish were basically the next slaves. Oh, so oppressed. Fucking no. There was no replacing or filling a vacancy. The blatant treatment was a continuation of 1,000 fucking years of rebellion against oppression, brought forth by the same mentality of mastery that plagued the continent they left. So any of you trying to use the suffering of the past to somehow justify any continuation of regression or consequentialism of the others deemed needing of the treatment, especially if that blood runs through your body, shut the fuck up. You understand not what they fought against, no matter how many of the verifiable accounts shared your pathetic hypocrisy. Yea for me, nay for thee. By all means, though, my black compatriots, continue feeding into defining divisive line language, intellectual victimizing and finger-wagging as your cultural heroes utilize the same cracker methods, perpetrate the same actions encouraging the same environment you keep screaming is white supremacy. Better yet, start rejecting all the appropriation of my culture by these motherfuckers akin to Clarence Thomas, Hakeem Jeffries, Bill Cosby, Maureen Hugh Knight Jr., Clay Shahid Sloan, Colton Simpson, Sanika Shakur, David Barksdale, Terry Lee Flannery, Sean Carter, Maya Angelou, Morgan Freeman, Colin Kaepernick, or is all that black culture too? For God's sake, I see how popular BIPOC Jesus has gotten. Well then fucking prove his standard as your culture instead of adapting all this bullshit hell on earth generating power dynamic mold that has yet to be broken. Otherwise, keep at it and watch yourselves fill the same roles you hate. Witness the same cycles repeat with perhaps a new set of names and a throwaway technicality here and there to drive you mad. Just no, Chris. Absolutely not. Fucking wrong again. Guess fuck all that last shit too. Fuck all this shit from page 1. Here we go. I know what I can talk about. I know exactly what I believe to have the experience and knowledge granting me the authority to speak right on. Leave the fucking lollies alone. For all that could even remotely be of grace on this fucking planet, stop fucking with the fiction that's been adopted. That's the only reason such shit should exist to begin with. We as creatures have fucked up inclinations, instincts, and some of us find such as grateful reprieve from the constant urge to act on shit obviously a tad fucked up. A tool of willpower, I would call it. So why not encourage that as its purpose rather than screaming about how it somehow incites or encourages the real atrocities? Keep the shit that doesn't belong in this world in the only fucking place it should be entertained, our goddamn imagination. Our goddamned imaginations. Recognize these desires plaguing us are restrained to make believe because of the real harm wrought, no matter how charismatically envisioned, and perhaps we can all have those oh so lauded open conversations allowing the dialed down version of our fantasies. There are literally all types of us, and understanding freedom is how even in finding company for such inclinations we don't encourage suffering, resentment, evil. Losing the opportunity to show how it's not the fantasy, it's the interpretation and action of others and ourselves. Facing the depths of depravity with open arms isn't an exemption from vengeance, but an attempt to purify such as the actual justice I so blathered on earlier. Hell, fuck it. Let's just keep whining about how much better we are. How alien, unjustifiable these others engaging in whatever overblown practice must believe or behave. How somebody has to do something to prevent even the most abstract association of suffering. How if it weren't for all these ignorant, foolish, wicked, hateful motherfuckers getting in the way, we could finally fix shit. I swear I hear the fucking words common sense one more fucking time, just... Yeah. Here's the bit I kept hinting at over and over again. My final fuck you to all the assholes with their summaries and skipping to the end and pretending you fucking know shit. Fuck all of you. That's fucking right. Fuck literally every fucking one of you. Not a fucking one of you will get the point of this dumbass shit. Here, I'll do the job of you fucking fake gurus, life coaches, advisors. You want the vision of success paraded before our eyes. All you gotta do is suck the asshole of the closest proximity wealthier than you son of a bitch in whatever field you can take it in, and I mean bend over backwards. No task is too demeaning, too far. No offense taken at even the greatest insults, and each objective is exceeded while gathering the info on the asshole they're eating. Then you just need the opportunity to stab the back of the douchebag you're dealing with by showing you can slurp the asshole they've been suckling on better than they. After that, rinse and repeat up the ladder. Fuck. I hate all of you. Almost more than I hate my fucking self. I eat, sleep, breathe, work, play my hatred of all of you constantly. I can't escape it. Every moment I want all of you fucking dead. In the most heinous ways I can fucking conceive, which has always been the crowning jewel of my creativity. Not a goddamn one of you can fucking drive. This fucking nigh ton, if not more, of metal being moved at a deadly velocity at its slowest, and you motherfuckers don't even need cell phones as an excuse to drive like you just escaped the sanitarium. Stay in your fucking lane. Half the fucking time it's got the fucking lines. You know, like the coloring books, anyone my age or older has no excuse for getting to stay the fuck in the lines. Which means behind the fucking stop sign. Completely fucking useless to all of a sudden stop in the middle of the fucking intersection like oopsies. Just fucking run that fucking shit. And the fucking following distance, goddamn. Does exhaust really fucking huff that good? 3 motherfucking seconds of distance. You ain't going fucking faster, and you're actively slowing yourself the fuck down without the room to see when you can pass a motherfucker who's 5 miles over the speed limit, whose 5 miles per hour over this fucking speed limit isn't fucking good enough for you. Speaking of speed, if you're gonna whine and cry and post signs about kids play on this street, I'd best not catch you on my ass going down a residential road going said speed. Yeah, the road is where I have to unleash some of my rage, because bottling it up is gonna have it fucking explode on one of you. So just as I ignore your flipping out ass, pay the fuck attention to the drive and the rules of it, rather than me spraying spittle across my windshield, beating the fuck out of my steering wheel, giving the bird. I ain't got the time to waste on your asses, so there will be no extreme chasing or tic-tac or tick for tack, only bleeding the poison before it infests my whole day. Fucking Jesus, am I going in this with a godforsaken driver's education course? Fucking fuck. All of you can get it. Even, especially my fucking family. Those who think you call me friend. I hate you all. Every fucking living thing. Fuck. That's so fucking cathartic. Fucking walking around constantly telling myself I don't get to fucking hate you all. That I don't want to torture all of you, starting with your fucking children. Your old ones. It's tiring using logic to know I can't have every last one of you, so I should just stick to myself if I can't figure me out. I fucking rage, and not a fucking one of you help shit. Not fucking one of you can be served what you dish out. Over here fighting existential mind battles, and you're just throwing out daggers as if I shouldn't just say fuck it and stab the fucking shit out of your ass with them. It's why I couldn't stop myself from giving that dumbass address. Not here. Not where I have to be honest as possible. Even if it's dumb as fuck. I think I made it clear that I'm well aware you motherfuckers can all do your little tracking shit. Just hope it's not my parents' house you get, since I've gone and done something only worthy of my stupidity. Only time will tell if I can do basic math and lose the house I forced beyond my income capacity, and then I'll be toothless and homeless. Fuck y'all. Guess we'll figure that out when we see each other. Fuck. It's enough to make me hope I'm fucking wrong. And the fucking God shit is real, so I can pat the seat right next to me when all of your shocked faces comes to terms with burning in hell right alongside yours truly. You had 2 millennia of peace and love to control your asses. Haven't figured shit out, so use rage. It's what the fuck I do. I feed my hatred to the shit I do find productive. Like all the hippie namaste freedom bird shit. Always wanting to push the threshold of pain. Force myself to love suffering. The second I catch myself wanting a reprieve, slap the shit out myself and seek twice the torment, within the boundaries of what I know I can take that day, within the regulations I can use without attracting too much attention. Just something. For fuck's sake, because motherfuckers even close to my mentality have to stop themselves from doing the actual fucked up shit. Pathetic. Wasted. Soulless. Compromised. Not being an asshole in whatever capacity we're capable of doesn't equal shit tormenting our psyche getting buried. I don't fucking know. Fuck this world and everything in it. Fuck all. Compromise when failure occurs. Compromise, and when failure occurs, no faith, no fear to change course. The other imaginary word, power. Truly, let's all cheer for being bent over a stool by state legislators instead of the federal ones. Not like they're funded in the same. Once we recognize the injustice of ending the growth of cells into a birthed human as the murder it is, legislation isolates those willing to risk the act. Interestingly, TYT also facilitated the... Are you fucking kidding me? Chapter 1. Fuck. Now obviously, if early humans had to focus on feeding themselves at any given point that they were not defending, seeking shelter, or clean water, of course, love is a fickle thing, and I was violently inclined rebellious teenager going into 16 plus. Elleraine couldn't stick around, and afterward, in the depths of a teenager's eternal misery, I would take another crack at opening up to my parents. This time, though, my intent was very much deceitful and malice. Son of a bitch. Regardless, while I view these times as almost robotic in nature, when it was finally over, we're going to just stop there. Like my first harsh reality with the authoritarian due to the sheer fact that I do hoping someone reads this that can make sense. Or culture that I should make.